The video you're about to watch is from one of our Spirit schools. Enjoy and please subscribe. Thank you.
Father, we just want to honor you tonight. Just be reminded in everything that you've poured into us, Father, the dimensions of your glory that we step into. We want to be reminded of why you sent the seven spirits, Father. It is so that we can be propelled. And I know that we're not really teaching on the seven spirits, but Father, when the lights went out, an immediate, intense feeling in my spirit, an awareness of counsel came into my sight, as if counsel himself was here. And I've been teaching this stuff for about 7 years now, and I've never seen one of the seven spirits literally coming into a room. So Father, we just want to honor counsel right now in the name of Yeshua. And I know for some it might be strange because there can't be any other spirit but the Holy Spirit. But yet the reality according to the word is that there are seven spirits at the throne. The Holy Spirit's not at the throne, the Holy Spirit's on the throne. So we know in our understanding of what we've been taught that the seven spirits place us in position regarding who we are as kings in the kingdom of Yahweh. So tonight, Father, we just want to be reminded of who counsel is. We want to give you honor and praise. We want to love on you, and we want to thank you for the powerful, majestic, awesome God that you are and how you propel us and take us deeper into the kingdom. We begin to understand legislation. We're beginning to understand who we are, and we're walking in it. And it is powerful, and we love you for it, Lord. Thank you, my King. Amen. How are you guys doing? Okay, so I just quickly want to go through, just very quickly, what the Spirit of Counsel is all about. So what I'd urge you to do in this week, for the next 21 days, as a matter of fact, find out as much as you possibly can regarding counsel. Because like I say, it is a very strange encounter for me to have one of the seven spirits. Now, they're not omnipresent. As a matter of fact, the Bible does say that they walk to and fro. But what I've never experienced is one of them actually coming into a meeting. All right. So having counsel, why counsel? Let's just listen to what counsel does. Counsel prepares us for position. Okay, now the Spirit of Counsel represents the color green. It's obviously life. But the Spirit of Counsel prepares us for position, teaches us which way to rule as a son. Teaches us how to access the counsels of God. Teaches us how to consult with God. Teaches us how to resolve issues and to bring advice from God to those around us out of the realm of the Spirit. Teaches us how to commune with God and to obtain His advice. Instructs us in the function in the different council chambers of God. Teaches us about our roles. Teaches us about the roles of the advisors of God. And it teaches us about the Trinity of God and their roles in our lives today. Right. Amen. So engage in that for the week. And let's really, I do this all the time, and I would urge you to do it as well. I know it sounds crazy, but I never leave the house without one of the seven spirits bound to me. Now, what that means is that, of course, it's not physically bound to me, it's spiritually. So in every given week, any given week, I'm walking with one of the seven spirits. It might even carry on for multiple weeks that I walk with one specific of the seven spirits. So that they can teach and guide and propel me into what place and dimension I need to go into while my spirit's in the kingdom of heaven, right? Okay, so tonight we're doing the laws of sowing and reaping. Did you guys enjoy the law of abundance?
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's good, right? Yes. Now the law of sowing and reaping is again, it's what we perceive it to be, but there's a greater dimension to it. It says, do not be deceived, do not mock God, for whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. For the one who sows in his own flesh shall reap from his own fleshly corruption. But the one who sows to the Spirit shall from the Spirit reap eternal life. So the logic would be that our sowing and reaping has got very little to do with finances.
All right.
Right? Our finances is a portion of the principle, sowing and reaping. But the Father's desire for us is to begin to understand the value, and we have done trading, is the value of our trade as a son and a daughter of the Most High. What we sow in the Spirit is what we reap in the Spirit. What we sow in the natural is what we reap in the natural. So His desire for us to understand, and this is one of the principles. We reap only what has been sown. Right? This is just logic stuff, right? In Ephesians it says, therefore be careful how you walk, not as unwise men, but as wise, making the most of your time, because the days are evil. Now this is a very interesting concept here. It doesn't say that the people is evil, it says the days are evil. That's what we need to bring restoration to. So remind yourself what you're sowing into. That's why we don't want to trade and sow into our today. Now don't misunderstand what I'm saying. We want to trade and sow into that which is already restored. That's why the Bible says wherever you put your foot, that place belongs to you. Because as a son of the light, wherever I go, I project the day into another day. I don't keep the day as it is right now. I have the ability as the Son of the Most High to change the day into what it's supposed to be. And only in that day do I trade. Only in that day do I sow seed. That's why we have the ability to go into our tomorrow and align it with our today so we can live in our tomorrow. You guys are looking at me with a tone in your voice. We've done the mobile court, and the idea of the mobile court was to go into your bloodline, to go into your yesterday, and to find the things that has taken you out of alignment. Right? Because if I'm out of alignment and I'm sowing into the kingdom, I'm going to find myself trading on a demonic floor. I'm going to find myself trading and doing things that's not going to give me the harvest that I've traded or sowed into.
All right.
That's why the restoration of the blood of Yeshua is key. And I have to understand it through revelation and insight. And I have to go into my yesterday, realign who I am, whether I have to take my bloodline, either cut myself from that bloodline or restore that bloodline. I remind you that you never just cut yourself from your bloodline.
All right.
It's kind of very important. A couple of weeks ago, I prophesied over a lady, and I said that in the ignorance of those leaders that you followed, they cut off a bloodline from you. And I said to her, and today the Lord is restoring that bloodline to you, because what they cut off was a massive part of your destiny. Now that's what we believe. We want to cut the bloodline off because of all the evil that's attached to it. But you have to understand, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Come on now.
Right? That baby is precious.
Precious.
Right? The bathwater is disgusting and filthy, but the baby is the one that it's all about.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't just cut off a bloodline and say, well, I don't want nothing to do with that bloodline anymore because that bloodline is filthy. That bloodline is not filthy. That bloodline, through the understanding of who we are, has the ability to be cleansed through the blood of Yeshua, so that what's in that bloodline that was meant to be mine, that was meant to be pure, that was meant to be powerful, can come to me.
Come on now.
Now, it might have been perverted, might have gotten all kinds of weird on its way to me, but I can cleanse it and realign it.
Yes. All right.
Remind yourself of those things. And that's what the mobile court's for. Because I don't want to live only in my today.
Right.
Matter of fact, I want to live in my tomorrow today.
Yes.
That's what Holy Spirit's all about.
Yes,
Thank you.
Right? It is the ecstatic state of prophecy. It is that dimension of Yahweh that projects me into a day before I get to the day.
Woo.
That's why we know all things.
Yes.
And we don't understand that because we don't live in our tomorrow. We're stuck in our today.
Wow.
And I look at my spinning instructor, which I love. But I can tell how her day is going to go by the mood she's in when she gets to the gym.
All right.
Because she's running her life according to her feelings. Now, 90% of the female population, I'm not excluding the men here completely, but most of the time, it's the ladies that run their lives on the emotions they feel at the moment they're in.
Right now.
Now, men can do the same thing, so don't misunderstand me.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, we do the same thing, but we do it in a different manner.
Yeah.
But I no longer live by my feelings, I live by faith.
Yes, yes.
And so my feeling and what I experience right now can't determine how I'm going to carry through my day.
That's good.
So I'll wake up in the morning and I immediately determine that I'm going to have a great day,
Yeah.
no matter what happened.
No matter what happens.
Right, so it's immediately that which I sow into the earth, and reminding yourself that the earth is evil, so whatever the days are evil, so whatever I sow into an evil day reaps an evil outcome. So I need to make sure that as the Son of the Most High, I go into my day before I get to my day, and I align it with what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
That's why wherever I put my foot, that place belongs to me.
Yes. That's good. That's good.
How you guys doing?
That's good.
Amen. Yes.
That's good.
Now there's negative side to reaping. We reap the wrong that others have sown. That's not nice, but that's the fact.
All right.
Right? We reap a certain amount of wrong inherited from our parents. I love my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
But there was some cuckoo stuff that happened.
All right.
Right? My dad was one of the most amazing men I knew, but he was an alcoholic.
Right.
All right.
It didn't affect me per se, but he never went fishing with me, I think maybe once. We never went to the movies together. We never went camping together. We never spent any time together because what he did on the weekend was he worked in the garden and drank. That's all he did. So I never get to spend time with him. Now, was I at that moment really interested? Probably not, because I was playing with my friends.
Yeah.
But if he had taken interest in me, it could have changed who I am today.
All right.
Because I understand the father in a household is one of the most important keys in the growth of a child.
Amen.
Now, I'm not saying the mother is not, don't misunderstand me, but the father brings morality into the son, into the daughter's life.
That's right. Stability.
It erects stability because the father is a pillar.
Yeah. Yes.
We all reap the sin of Adam as we pass through along to our children. And we all reap the sin of Adam and we pass it through to our children. Now, I've understood this statement and I've written it down myself, but I remind you that if I have offspring of a born-again couple, it's different.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they're not born into the curse. They're not born into sin.
That's right.
Now, you might say, well, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says that we are born into sin, okay? But you have to understand, when I'm redeemed and my wife is redeemed and we have a child, that child's automatically redeemed.
Redeemed. Amen.
Amen.
Sanctified.
So my children is not born into sin.
That's right.
Because of this, the restoration of the blood of Yeshua through myself and my wife.
Amen.
That's a pure seed.
Yes.
Matter of fact, that is what made Noah righteous.
That's right.
That's good.
That's what made his children righteous. That's what made his children's wives righteous.
Yes.
Because they were from a different bloodline. They weren't meant to survive because they weren't pure.
All right.
But because of one bloodline, it brought restoration to many.
Amen. Amen.
How you guys doing?
Right.
We reap the wrong of foolish and corrupt leaders and the consequences of a decaying society. We see this daily, right? Things that happens in our day. And of course, the very first one that gets blamed is God. Where's God in all of this? What type of God says that he's a loving God, but there's children dying of hunger in Africa?
And war and famine.
And war and famine and poverty. And this God you serve is just not worthy to be called a God because he's absent.
Help us, Lord.
Well, let's just look at what he said and why he is what he is and why he does what he does.
All right.
First of all, he's just.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once he, as a just man, a just God, he says, I've given you dominion and authority.
Yeah.
A just God cannot take back the dominion and authority.
All right.
Because he said it's yours, so once he said it's yours, it's yours.
All right.
All right.
Then we are responsible for what he's given us dominion over.
Responsible.
So if you're not taking responsibility over what was given to you, then you have no authority.
All right.
So as the earth is looking at God for its restoration, it's not getting any, so God becomes the cause of our defects. But it's not God that's the cause of our defects because creation is not looking to God. Creation is looking to man, and man doesn't know God.
That's right.
Man doesn't know its purpose and who they are.
All right, come on now.
So we need to begin to understand what needs to change.
What needs to change?
We have sown a certain amount of seeds into the ground according to our ignorance.
Yes.
And so we have reaped the ignorance that we have sown.
Help us, Lord.
Why? Because we've reaped into an evil day.
Hey, yes.
So we need to be calling to a sowing of what is good. We need to be sowing into our thankfulness. We need to begin to understand our moral responsibility. We need to begin to trust God to provide us for our needs. We need to begin to understand who He is and why He desires for us to sow into the earth as according to what He's destined for us.
All right.
Right? How are you guys doing?
Amen.
So the first principle here was that we only reap what we've sown, right? That's just really kind of logic. The second principle that we need to focus on is we reap the same kind as what we've sown. That's very important. You have to understand. In Hebrews it said, "But encourage one another that day after day, for as long as it is still called today, lest any one of you be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin." If I plant an apple seed in the ground,
Yeah.
I'm going to reap an apple tree that's going to bear apples. But I can't have a green apple in my hand, eat it, take its seed, plant it in the ground, and get a green apple tree. Well, you call it Pink Ladies and Granny Smith, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? There's more different types, but that's the two that I know of right now. So the Pink Lady is one of my favorites. These two apples are my favorites. The Pink Lady is my favorite of all. And it's a very light pink apple with it's very sweet, very nice. I don't know why American apples or American fruit's so sweet, but the rest of the world their fruit's not as sweet as what it is here. I think they grow it in sugar or something, but it's not natural. It's too sweet.
Because we're sweeter here.
Well, okay, by faith, we stand on that. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. Well, that could be true because everything is sweeter, yeah. I mean, even your pizza dough is sweet.
Even chocolate. Amen. Yeah.
It's crazy. But if I take the Pink Lady, it's called the Pink Lady, right? Now that I'm saying it, it sounds weird, but it is. So if I take a Pink Lady and I plant it, I'm not going to get a Granny Smith.
That's right. Amen.
It's just logic, right? And for some reason, you will never find a lion and a tiger, although they're from the same species. They'll never mate.
That's right.
Unless it's forced by man and artificial insemination. And it might still not even work.
That's right.
Because it's not right according to the principle, the law of sowing and reaping.
Amen.
How you guys doing? Now listen to this. Then God said, "Let the waters teem with swarms of living creatures. Let the birds fly above the earth in the open expanse of the heavens." And God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarmed after their kind, and every winged bird after its kind. And God saw that it was good, and God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning, and the fifth day. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures after their kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth after their kind." And it was so. So you sow according to the kind that you want to reap from.
All right.
Yes.
So we need to understand, I want to share this, and I probably have shared already, but it's significant. I shared it last night, and I'll probably be touching base on it for the next couple of weeks, because to me, it was a sign and a wonder.
All right.
You know, we're in a room, and the power goes off 3 times as I start praying. I go outside in the spirit to see what happened. You can think, well, it was just a power outing, it went on and off, but I know what happens when something powerful comes in. So I engage I'm outside the house, outside the church, and this massive angelic being comes into the premises. And her name is Zariel. And Zariel means lion princess. Now she says to me, and according to what I could understand while I was engaging with her, is that she's an archangel that is in charge of a canopy of these angelic beings sent into the earth.
All right.
Not just into Louisiana, not just why she came to me, I don't know. Why she came to Albany, the gathering place, I don't know. I know there's a porthole, an angelic porthole that has been created over the last couple of years that really has the ability to propel and release. Same thing in Denham Springs. I've experienced some of these places in different states. But why she came to me, I don't know. But we had a great encounter. These angels have been released in the earth. Now, if you understand, a hunter angel. Now, a lioness is a hunter, right?
That's right.
The lion doesn't hunt. Matter of fact, the male lion is the laziest thing you've ever seen in your life.
Yes.
The only time he ever does anything if there's another male on his premises. He either runs away or he kills it.
That's right.
Or that's all. That's the only time he ever does anything. And of course makes babies.
That's right.
Okay?
That's it. Me.
He doesn't make babies, he makes lions, right? Which you sow, you reap. Okay, so understanding that she says that she's a lioness, I realize that she's the hunter, which takes me back to the understanding that it is a canopy of hunter angels that has been sent into the earth. Now, if you understand hunter angels, they are there to promote salvation. So it's like she was telling me that we have to get ready for an end-time harvest in the nations of the world. Now, about 2 weeks after I experienced this encounter, and she's been with me for a while now, and we've just been engaging, Billy Graham passed away.
Yep.
Now, I don't know much about Billy Graham, but what I understood of him is that there was no flaw in him. I know that sounds crazy. But there was never any crazy thing that happened in his life, and people could not point at him and say that you're fake, or that you are this, or you're that. He was a man of integrity.
Yeah.
He was a man of power and authority. He led more people to Jesus than what we can never fathom or think. He was always going. He was always powerful. And a matter of fact, he lived for 100 years. Now we say, well, he's only 99. But if you look at his birth and his death date, he was born on 1918.
That's right.
And he died 2018.
That's right.
So he lived for 100 years.
100 years.
And the understanding that I have of this now, just prophetically, is that he is a seed that had to go into the ground.
Come on now.
Now, once he has passed from this life to the next, he opened a gateway for the multiple salvations that's meant to come into the nation as prophesied to the end-time harvest.
All right.
So how these two just fall into place is a sign and a wonder.
Yeah.
It can't just be a coincidence that I meet up with this angel. And I don't think much of it because I unpurposefully try not to make my encounters with the angelic or with the seven spirits or with any other creature in the heavens too much of a wow. Oh, I had this encounter, it was so amazing, write a book about it and promote it all I can. I try not to do that because it's a life. It's a daily thing. It happens all the time.
No.
You know, I don't tell everybody about when I meet someone new in the gym or when I meet someone new in the streets.
Come on now.
You know, I don't have to because it's an everyday thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? But when this happened, I knew that there was something significant about it.
All right.
So I need you to understand it. There's signs and when there's things happening that is about to change the earth.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it.
Woo. Yes.
Thank you, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
Father is showing us things and revealing things in the earth that is absolutely awesome.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Now this is very key. We reap in a different season that we sow. How many understand that is logic?
That's logical.
I mean, if you live in another world where you plant a seed and it jumps up into a tree immediately, please take me there. Right, that'll be nice. But what happens is you plant a seed and then you have to do a couple of things. Now, first of all, the place you plant it in is key.
Yes.
You can't just plant it anywhere.
That's right.
Right? You have to make sure that where the seed goes, there's enough sunlight, there's enough light, there's enough fertilizer in the soil. The soil is the right type of soil. It gets enough water. It gets enough attention. There's so much that needs to go into this. And of course, it has to break through the ground first.
Yeah.
And so you don't know anything until it starts breaking through the ground.
All right.
Once it breaks through the ground, you begin to have more faith.
Yes, Lord.
Right? Because before it breaks to the ground, you're just hoping that it's not dead.
Yes.
You're just hoping that a bird didn't come sweep it up.
Yes, Lord.
Okay, but once it breaks to the ground, you begin to realize, okay, there's going to be a tree.
Yeah.
Yes. Woo.
But I mean, I remember my dad, we lived in one house for many years, and my dad used to plant fig trees and peach trees and apricot trees, and even what's those nuts, almond trees. And it was when we just moved in there was almost nothing. It was just what he planted, these small little trees. It wasn't seeds he planted, it was little trees.
Yeah.
And in the 20 years that we stayed in this house, it took a very long time for these trees to start bearing fruit. So we might be planting seeds that only the next generation is going to reap from.
All
Yeah.
right. Whoa, that's good.
Wow.
Woo.
Too many believers are sowing wild oats throughout the week, and then going to church on Sundays and praying for a crop failure.
Please, Lord.
How many of you have ever seen the movie Faith Like Potatoes?
No.
It is a South African movie with a Scottish man. His name is Angus Buckham. He made this movie. It's internationally known all over the world.
Except you.
Well, yeah, there's many people. There's two in the audience that've seen it. Yeah, it's a really awesome movie. It's based on a true story about this young man that moved from Scotland to South Africa, and he was a farmer. And so he tried all kinds of things. He had no money. He was failing and everything. And then he was drinking and swearing and doing all kinds of stuff. And he gave his life to Jesus. And in this process, he became a man of great faith. And so in a season of his life, he gathered all the farmers and thousands of farmers. As a matter of fact, the Lord said to him, book a stadium. And he thought that was crazy. First of all, he would never have the money to book a stadium, because in South Africa that would be very expensive. Yeah, it would be very expensive. So eventually I can't remember exactly what happened, but he got to book this stadium, and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of farmers came in. And what they did is they prayed for rain.
All right.
Because if you understand, South Africa could be a very dry, drought out place. And what he then decided to do by faith is that he is going to plant potatoes. Now, potatoes is a different type of thing you plant, because you never know what's under the ground.
That's right.
Right? So he takes all his money, everything he owns, and he buys excessive amounts of potato seeds. He throws them into the ground and he covers it up. And that's it. Now you can't see what's happening. You don't know if there's any growth. You can't see, literally can't see anything. You walk away there, and basically in your subconscious mind, that's it. You're dead. He's lost everything. Everybody thought he was crazy. There was something seriously wrong with him. It wasn't even something you do there. You don't plant potatoes. It needs too much.
Right.
And the risk is just too big. But he was trusting God. He was believing by faith. And eventually, when the harvest time comes, he had thousands and thousands of phenomenal potatoes. And of course the story goes about all kinds of other things, but it is understanding the patience that goes with the seed that's been sown.
Amen.
That I can't pray for something right now, sow it into the ground, and then tomorrow I say, okay, it didn't work, the seed is destroyed, it's nullified, there's nothing left, it's a failed crop. Because it doesn't work like that, right?
That's right.
You know, I understood the kingdom of heaven as to be mind-boggling. You know, the Father says something, Yeshua says something to his disciples. He said, you look at the harvest and you say, it's another 4 months. I look at the exact same harvest and I see it ready to be,
Today.
to harvest.
Yes.
Now that changes everything.
Yes.
Because the eyes of Yeshua looks at things as it's meant to be, not as what it should be.
All
All
right.
right. Come on.
Does that make sense? He looks at it what it is to be right now, because if I know what I'm getting, if Angus Buckham knew what he was getting, he didn't need faith.
That's right.
That's why with us being the bride,
Work with it now.
we never know what we're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we don't see it like he does. We look at the harvest and say 4 more months. Because the bride doesn't know. His disciples didn't know. They weren't in him.
Yeah.
They weren't the body, they were the bride. But now that we have grown, we have qualified for the next level of intimacy,
All right.
whereas the body looks at it from a different point of view.
Thank you.
Yes.
Because now I know what it's going to be because the head has seen it as it's meant to be, not as what it is now.
Yeah.
So I might, in my natural, see a seed, but he already sees the tree with multiple fruit on it. That changes everything.
Yes.
So that's the same as the Joshua generation. We're looking at what we need to sow into their lives now.
Yeah.
We're looking at what we need to leave in the ground for when they are at the place where they need to receive it. But in the same breath, we need to know what it's going to look like.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's why we need to live in the future. We have to live in our tomorrow. And we can only do that in the Spirit. The Spirit opens and reveals all things.
Okay now. Yes, Lord.
That's why Satan is not supposed to catch you out of, I don't know how to say it. Satan's not supposed to catch you, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it.
He's not supposed to catch you today. Because
No, he should not catch you unaware.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you should know exactly what his next steps is.
Yeah.
Right.
The
Amen.
mind.
And a matter of fact, if you understand the very last weapon of your warfare, it is prayer. It is praying always in the Spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is your lance.
Yeah.
You guys know that?
Praying all with the
It's
Spirit.
your lance. It's the spear that you use to take the enemy out before he gets to you.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord.
So this is what we're talking about. We need to take the enemy out before he gets to us. So I know in my today what he was planning yesterday, tomorrow, so that today doesn't happen the way he planned for it to be, because I saw him in my today yesterday.
Yes, Lord.
Yes,
Yes, Lord.
That's
Yes.
good.
That's good, right?
That's
Yes.
good.
Take 'em out
Speak
before
those things
you-
that are not.
We reap more than what we've sown.
Yeah.
Take 'em out before he comes.
Most of David's life was sowing good, not evil. And as a result, God continued to bless him and many of the kings of Judah for many years. And if you understand this story, the kings that followed David was actually a big fat mess. Most of them. But he sowed something that changed nations.
Yes.
Now, I need you to understand, and this is just logic stuff, right? If I take an apple seed, it's just one seed. But I need you to understand that one seed grows into a tree that grows multiple fruits at one time, that has multiple seeds in,
Yes.
and he can grow it multiple times,
Yes.
over multiple years,
Yes.
multiply.
Yes.
One seed.
One
Yes.
seed.
So what have you sown?
All right.
You know, I look at my life and I begin to understand, you know, I sow financially as often and as much as I can.
Yes.
But I've realized that what I sow in time into the kingdom, spending time walking with the Father, spending time in the kingdom of heaven, engaging the seven spirits, engaging the angelic, spending time with God's people like I am tonight. Just, you know, for me at the moment, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Amen.
Every night, every week. There's no pause. Right? Then I have once a month on a Sunday. I today received note of another school opening for once a month in Baton Rouge.
All right.
So that'll make 9 schools. This is what I sow into the kingdom.
Yes.
This is what I give to what I want for eternity. It's part of my destiny. This is what's written on my scroll. You know, and so I need you to understand, what are you trading into? What are you sowing into right now? What's going to multiply, what's going to bring the change to the nation that's needed to bring. Understand and remind yourself that what you're sowing is going to be reaped.
Yes.
Yes.
But you cannot just say, well, I'm giving an offering, so I've sown enough. It has to come from you, because your life has purpose and destiny.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord.
You sow into your business, into the workplace. You need to understand what's going to come out of what you did there.
Come on.
You know, I always say this, and I need Christians to understand it. The only reason you have a job is because, listen to this now, I'm trying to say this right. The only reason you have a job is because you're a son of God. The only reason that the job you have is paying you money is because the owner has you working there.
That's it. Amen. And his success is based on
The success of the company you're in is based on you being there.
Amen. Amen.
And I remember this so well because a friend of mine, now this sounds silly, I was a bouncer of a nightclub in a spirit-filled, born-again state. I loved it. I was serving as a cell leader in our mega church. It was really a good time for me. We were about to get married, myself and my wife. We were about to move to Cape Town. But I was working in this nightclub. And I remember, a long story short, another company bought this nightclub over. And because I was like the head bouncer, I got paid more than the other guys. And because the new owners used a bouncing company, you guys know what a bouncer is, right?
Yeah.
A chucker out, or whatever. And so they didn't like it. So instead of me being the bouncer, I became the doorman because I was getting paid by the owner himself, and they were getting paid by their boss, which was paid by the owner of the company. Eventually, one night, they didn't like me. They didn't like me, and I didn't particularly want to work there much longer. But this one specific night, a massive fight breaks out. Massive fight breaks out, and the bouncer started it. So I went to the bouncer and I said, listen to me, this is what's going to happen now. You just smack this guy, and I know him, so he's going to walk across the road to the other club, and he's going to bring 20 of his friends, and they're going to come look for trouble with you. And I'm going to watch. So that's exactly what happened. And so because I was watching and I didn't help him, it was just fun, right, really. He got really angry with me, and so he, with a crowd of about 100 people, he turned back and he pulled his fist back and he hit me in the face. And I just looked at him and I said, buddy, I'm not going to drop to your level, but let me tell you something. This nightclub will, within 3 months, close down and will never be a club again. Right. I took my money that night and I left, and that place is the post office today.
Hey!
See, we have the ability to align things according to our purpose, according to our destiny. On Monday night, I, with a friend of mine, walked the French Quarters. Now, for you guys remember, I had an encounter with a dragon in the French Quarters. It's on French Quarters on Bourbon Street. It was quite a powerful encounter, and it changed. If I listen to those who work in the French Quarters, who works in New Orleans and on that street, they say that it's been crazy amazing. Things is just happening because the dragon was slain. So on Monday night, Tuesday night, we walked from the beginning of Bourbon Street all the way up to Esplanade, closed all the clubs on the side. It's strip clubs. As far as I remember, there was about 4 strip clubs. When we got to the first one, I was speaking to the bouncer there, and I was asking him if there's been any new nightclubs in the last 6 months, or strip clubs that opened. And he said, yes, there's one down the road that opened. But he doesn't know how it's going there. He hasn't seen or heard anything from them in a while. So he gives me the name of this place. And in my heart, I say to myself, this is impossible. A new strip club cannot open in Bourbon Street after we slayed that dragon. It's not lawfully possible in any way, fashion, or form. And if it did open, it has to be closed.
Yes, Lord.
Matter of fact, the guy should have wasted his money and lost everything he had.
Wow.
That's my understanding of what happened in the spirit.
Right.
So kind of frustrated, I'm walking to find this place. And as we get to the entrance, everything's shut down. Windows are broken, sign on the door, it's closed. It never made it. We walked all the way through the whole of Bourbon Street, down Esplanade, and came down Royal. So we walked the whole circle to establish what was done. I remember in the spirit what it felt like to walk on the carcass of the dragon.
All right.
It was fun. So what are we sowing? And remind yourself that what happened then, what happened on Tuesday, what happened 6 months ago, that was something that was sown into the earth that is going to have a harvest that's coming. But the Father had to show me in the spirit what it would be like after it's done.
Right.
That's why I could look at that strip club and think to myself, no, it's not possible, dude. There cannot be another strip club making it. And matter of fact, the ones that's there should be fading away. And a matter of fact, 10, 15 years from now, Bourbon Street should be coffee shops and restaurants.
Yes, Lord. Woo, yes.
But then you might think, well, that might affect the economy of the city because everybody goes there to drink. I mean, on Tuesday night, there were thousands of people on the street. Not as hectic as a Friday and a Saturday, but there was thousands of people. Police everywhere because it's a dangerous place where drunk people are. They're not just drunk, they're on drugs and all kinds of other stuff.
Amen.
So it might affect the economy. Not when the sons and daughters runs the city.
Amen.
Because we are prosperous and everything we touch turns to gold.
Yes, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
Why does everything touch? Everything we touch as mature sons turn to gold. Because we're restored through the light and we are created in the fullness of that which is gold.
Amen.
And we don't get that, we don't understand that yet, but the Father will reveal it to us soon. We reap in proportion to what we sowed. That's logic, right?
Yes.
How much are you sowing? How much are you trading into what you want harvest for? I want an apple tree, but you can't become a farmer with one apple tree.
No.
Right? You can be a domestic house owner with an apple tree in your backyard
Right.
and seasonally eat of it if you're lucky.
Right.
But the idea is that you pull on multiple seeds
Yeah.
in multiple rows
Yes.
in a massive field.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lord.
Orchard.
Because that makes sense. And that's how the Father wants us to understand. That it's not just something small we sow in. You know, it's not about your tenth. You see, we understand it wrong. His desire has always been more than 10%.
More.
He wants our faith to get to the place where we understand the original principle. The original principle is not tithes and offerings. It's gifts and giving.
Gifts and giving.
Yes.
Because tithes and offerings bind you to an old system where everything that you had was yours. And so if everything that I have is mine, then God will say, well, what can I have? Give me 10% of what you own. Okay, fine, I'll give you 10%. And if I give you 10%, what you'll give me back? And so, well, I'll give you the best life.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lord.
Abundant life.
The abundant life.
Thank you.
Right? But now the New Testament is a whole different ballgame.
Amen.
Nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to Him. So the exact same question is now, Lord, how much do I keep?
All right.
Yeah.
And He makes a statement. He said, well, you decide in your heart. But now remind yourself that I'm the body and He's the head. So who decides? How are you guys doing? We reap the full harvest of the good only if we preserve. How many understand you cannot give up? Now, I don't know how this works because for the last 10 years of my life, I cannot, it's literally impossible. And I've tried it. I've literally, in the spinning class, I've tried to stop 15 minutes before the class ends. I cannot do it. No matter how tired I am, I cannot quit. No matter, Albany is really not doing very well right now. I mean, this is a big group, and I love this group. Albany, sometimes there's no one there.
All right.
Sometimes one or two people, and I've never not have a class per se, but sometimes there's only 2 or 3 people, and we'll sit in a round table, and I don't put it on Facebook. Not that it matters, but I just, because then it's just intimate, we ask questions and answer questions, but it's a Wednesday. I don't even know, I'm not going to ever get a Wednesday. Now, I don't want to talk out of faith, but I'm not going to get another Wednesday. People have church on Wednesdays.
That's right.
The American church have church on Wednesday. So me having a Wednesday spirit school is already a miracle.
Yes, a miracle.
And the Father has said to me, you hold on to this thing with dear life.
Yeah.
It will break open. And I found myself not being able to quit.
Thank you, Lord.
And I cannot. I've seen what He's shown me, and I have to hold on that promise.
Hold on to
Amen.
it.
Thank you,
That's
Lord.
it. Hold on to it.
And of course, sometimes I get there and there's 10 people. Sometimes I get there and when we started the school, it started off between 40 and 50 people. Now, how many of you understand? This is not for everybody, although it's for everybody.
It's for everybody. Amen.
And of course, the flood didn't help because the church was out of place for 6 months. That's why the Father's saying to me, hold on. But I've realized just over the last 10 years, I can't start anything without finishing it.
All
That's
right.
right.
Thank you.
Amen.
It's not something I have in me anymore, is to quit. I just can't do it.
That's it. Woo.
And I believe that's where He's taken the body of Christ to. And it
Yeah.
comes through the understanding that I live and move and have my being in Him. He never quit.
Never quit.
His flesh wanted to quit, but His Spirit said, well, you know what we need to do? Let's go.
Yeah.
So much so that He sweat blood.
Yeah.
Now, I don't understand that, and that's medically possible. It's medically possible, but it is the anguish and stress and panic has to be extreme. Because He knew, as a man that lives in the Spirit, which means all things are exposed. He knew exactly what he was going to go through
In this
Yeah.
tomorrow.
before he went through it.
Yes.
Tomorrow, amen.
And his flesh was freaked out because it was going to be a pain that he could not fathom in the natural.
Yes, Lord. Oh, yes. Yes, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
We can't do anything about last year's harvest, but we can do something about this year.
Yes.
And this is the problem I believe we have, and I'm going to close with this. We always worry about what we should have sown, could have sown, would have sown.
All right.
What we could have, would have, and should have done. But he wants us to understand in this law that it's what I do right now that counts.
Yes.
It's what I do right now. Now, I might have sown really good seeds last year, and I haven't seen a harvest yet. But the key is to keep sowing.
Keep sowing.
To keep putting what he's given me into the earth.
Yes, Lord. Woo. Yes. Yes, yes.
How are you guys doing?
Yes.
Let's stand.
Stop. Don't stop. Keep sowing. Oh, yes, Lord. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
remind yourself that we only reap what has been sown.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
We only reap the same kind as we sowed. We reap in a different season that we sowed in. We reap more than what we sowed. We reap in proportion to what we've sown. We reap the full harvest of the good only when we preserve, when we push through and carry on. And we can't do anything about last year's harvest, but we can about this year.
All right.
So Father, right now in the name of Yeshua, as we begin to understand the principle, the law of sowing and reaping, we begin to walk into this dimension that you've given us in the Spirit, Father. We begin to understand that this is so that we get propelled deeper, higher, wider into who we are. That as in the 24 hours begin to open these portholes within the kingdom of heaven for us to literally go into and get propelled into dimensions and understanding and revelation. I need you to understand, when I begin to sow, physically take of the riches that's in my mountain, and I begin to trade for the nations, I begin to trade for my family, I begin to trade financially as of what's in the kingdom for me. Every time you slay a dragon, every time you conquer something in the Spirit, massive amounts of diamonds and rubies and gold and even currency comes out, even wisdom, revelation, knowledge, scrolls comes out of that which is slain. And you take that and you put it in your mountain, and in the kingdom you begin to sow that into what you want to reap. You even take of your fruit. The idea in the kingdom of heaven is that you put as much in as what you can. And I remind you that you can never outgive God. In the kingdom of heaven, when you give the most precious things, the Father multiplies it back to you in a different dimension than what you gave it to Him.
Thank you, Lord.
So Father, tonight I just ask that you will give everyone an understanding and revelation regarding sowing and reaping. You'll open us our heart. Let's begin to run with what it is. Let's begin to run with everything you've made available for us. And may your name be glorified in everything we do. My King, we love you. You are awesome, you are majestic, and we absolutely honor you. We thank you for counsel that came into the room, Lord. I pray that we will take the opportunity in this week to really walk with Him in His full capacity and let the direction that we need come from Him in everything we do this week. Father, we love you, we praise you, we honor you. You're a majestic, beautiful God. Thank you, my King. Amen.
Amen.